All rise.
This is Deeper Than Money. Talk to me. I want viewers watching my show to believe in themselves.
Judge Hatchett is compelling.
If he is not going to honor you, he needs to be gone.
Compassionate.
I don't want you to give up on your dreams. I don't. And I want to figure out how we get this straight.
She's powerful.
If I were in this situation, I would have put you out too.
And she's on the bench.
I feel like I'm being judged here.
That's what I do.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Veronica Sulks is suing Marcus Klein in the amount of $1,190.72. Ms. Sulks claims she kicked her boyfriend out and says he vindictively threw her beauty products away. Mr. Klein is countersuing for $305.
Today, we have a suit and a countersuit. You're suing the defendant is suing you. So this sounds like almost like a tit for tat situation. First of all, how do you all know each other?
Well, this is my ex-boyfriend. We were together for a little over a year, but as we can see here, it did not work out.
You're just shaking your head.
Yes, I am, Your Honor. It did not work out.
So you all were together for a little over a year, and let me guess. That's why you all are in my courtroom now, suing each other.
Partly, yes. Your
Partly,
Honor.
yes. All right. So let me get a little background. How did you all meet? I mean, something must have been going well for you all to have been together for a year.
Well, we did meet on Tinder. I wasn't looking for something serious at the time, but when we met in person, it started off great. I mean, we connected. At one point, I really saw my life with him. I mean, he moved in just after a couple months of us knowing each other. I let him move into my apartment, and things were going well, and it was really just about 3 months before we split that things just started going south.
So hold on just a second. So you all meet. A couple of months later, you move in.
Correct.
So this was moving pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a serious commitment to live with each other. And do you agree that things were going well?
Yeah, things were going extremely well for us. When we first met, I really, really, really admired her, and I thought that we really had something.
She thought that this was really a connection that could last.
Yeah, I did as well. I
You
was
did?
really invested in the relationship, enough to move in with her.
But something went wrong.
I mean, I am kind of a clean freak. I like things organized, I like things a certain way, and I guess my presentation of that wasn't going too well.
No. That's not at all what happened.
So
What
then
happened?
So, Your Honor, so it started getting progressively worse. Like, she started getting really aggressive at me, just started being really mean, nitpicking every little thing that I did, and it just kept getting worse.
Like for
and worse.
instance.
I would leave like a shoe tilted slightly in the wrong place, and she would just blow up at me. And, you know, I would have to take that and take that and take that. And then it would just spiral into like these arguments.
No, you would get angry at the...
I would get angry?
Yes.
No.
I was nitpicking, but to me, I was just expressing what was going on. Anytime I expressed
Yeah, but
any
you can
thought to him,
express things in a
he
nicer
started telling
way.
me, well, you're just nitpicking and dismissing completely what I am trying to tell him.
So give me an example. You're saying to him, look, Marcus.
Like, as the example that he brought up with his shoes on the ground. Like,
Oh, yeah, so tell me about that.
yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people, you know, you take your shoes off at the door. And he knew that. He knew that from the jump. When he moved in, you know, I let him know, like, hey, that, you know, I'm opening my space to you. I like it a certain way. And he seemed very understanding in the beginning. He, you know, was just like, okay, I understand what you mean. I did explain that I like things cleaner. And as things went on, you know, it's like all those conversations that we had about that, just out the window.
When you say leaving his things everywhere, like, tell me.
It would be like his shoes or leaving a jacket on the ground when he just got off of work and he's bringing in all this mess from the outside, dirt or just germs in general from the outside coming in.
I work in a warehouse and I go straight from there and I drive home. How can I leave all this mess?
When you're walking in, when you're deloading.
So you want the
during your
shoes
day.
at the door. You don't want him to walk into the apartment with
all
his
over
shoes
the
on.
carpet. I don't like stains or any of that.
And then, I mean, it seems pretty easy. You could just kick off your shoes at the door.
Well, I would kick off my shoes at the door, but it would be like, oh, like, let's say I came home and then like one shoe is like slightly off the shelf. She would want it perfect.
I could get a little OCD, a little bit.
A little
OCD.
A little.
Coming up on The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
I would tell him that he needs to be more mindful. He needs to fix those shoes up when he comes in.
I don't know if that's what mindfulness is, but okay, keep talking.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Veronica Sulks, who is suing Marcus Klein for property loss.
So now his shoes are not everywhere. They're on the shelf, but one is slightly tilted. Would you say something?
Yeah, I would.
And what would you say?
I would tell him that he needs to be more mindful. He needs to fix those shoes up when he comes in.
I don't know if that's what mindfulness is, but okay, keep talking.
I think it is just being mindful, just being neat. It's not a hard task to just be neat and just
It
put
sounds
things
like
in
you're
the place where they
compulsive,
belong.
though. I mean, you even admit that, right?
It can be there. I don't think I'm like completely.
Maybe see a psychiatrist? I don't know.
So what happened? What happened that brings you to my courtroom today?
So one day, I woke up and I had a little bit of an attitude when I woke up. I just wasn't really in the best mood.
So when you say I had a little bit of attitude,
It means I just wanted to be left alone. I just
you
wanted.
just didn't want anybody to talk to you.
Yeah,
Leave me alone. Did you say that?
I did. I tried to tell, because he asked me, what's wrong? And I told him, I'm just not feeling it today. I would just like some time alone. Like, I don't really feel like talking
alone.
much.
Yeah, that happens.
And I'm only human. I have my days like that. Sometimes he has days like that, and we have to respect that. But that day, he had to keep asking me, what is wrong? And telling me that I'm taking my attitude out on him, when I already tried to explain to him that I was already just not feeling the day. It's nothing against him. Today is not my day.
Let me back up.
Yeah.
Before that day, and I get it. I mean, there are times when you just need your space, and you just need to be quiet, and you just don't need to talk to people. I get that. But before that day, were you nitpicking and nagging him about things in the house?
I don't feel as though that I was.
Yes, she was.
Give me other examples other than the shoe. What else?
So like she said with the jacket on the floor, like, yeah, I just get home, like I take off my jacket. Okay, cool, it's left on the couch. Like, give me 5 minutes. Or maybe she could have just asked me and been like, hey, could you take your jacket and hang it up, please?
He says it like
No.
if it can be that simple. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is
every
that
time I've
simple.
asked you to do that, then it turns into a whole thing of, oh, you're so, like, you always want things a certain way. You're always bugging me to put my things away. It's not something where I can just
Well, yeah,
simply ask you.
imagine
Because
if
when
I
I do
just came
ask
home from
you,
work.
you want to complain about it and you want to argue with me.
I'm not trying to argue. Imagine you just come home from work. Put yourself in my shoes for a second. Imagine if you just come home from work, you take off your jacket, you're exhausted. I work at a warehouse, by the way. So
I
we
know
work
where you
12,
work.
16-hour shifts over there. And I'm exhausted. I don't need to be told, hey, blah, blah, blah. Oh, your shoes are like this, that, and the other thing. Like, you could be like, hey, honey, like, could you just please, like, next time, blah, blah, like.
Well, if you're consistently not doing it, then to me it sounds like
Okay,
you do need to be
consistently,
told.
it's not a big deal. You could have just said, hey,
not
could
a
you
big
hang
deal to
this
you.
up? And I'll be like, yeah, I just got home. Give me a little bit of time, and then I'll do it. Okay?
You all don't need to be together.
Well, we aren't anymore,
We're not
Your Honor.
anymore.
Oh, I understand why. You don't need to be together. You all have a very different approach to living together. So that's what happens. You know, people are like, oh, this is the one, this is the one. I really want to be with this person. And then they quickly move in together with really no idea. You know, I mean, that's a serious commitment when you move in with someone, that you've got to be really clear. I mean, you don't know everything up front. I'm not suggesting that you can anticipate everything, but you got to have some sense about compatibility. And I am just amazed that you all got along as well as you did for the first 6 months, and then things just went off the rails. But let's get to why you're here today. You're saying that he threw out things that belong to you.
Yes.
Tell me what happened, and then I'm going to rule on this case. I'm going to hear from you about your counterclaim, and then I'm going to rule.
So that day that we finally had just our last blowout, you know, I woke up with the attitude, he's picking at me, and it turns into him being so upset about my attitude that he begins to tell me that if he was just going to have to deal with all of this, and if his peace was just going to be disturbed like this, and he wishes he would have been with another woman, that he would have just chosen to be with another woman.
Is not what I said.
What did you say? Tell me, Marcus, what you said.
I said, if you keep treating me like this, I would be better off with another woman.
Either way, he's bringing up another woman into the conversation.
It doesn't matter.
And that hurt me, because I don't need to hear that. Even if he wanted to leave me already, I don't need to hear about what his next prospect is going to be, what this next woman's going to be. Like, I would hope that he would have enough respect for me to not sit here and tell me that, that he would rather be with another woman.
He said, if you're going to treat me like this, I would be better off with another woman.
And that hurt me. It hurt to hear that. So
what happened? What happened with this claim?
In that moment, I took his things. I told him, you know what, I want you to leave. And I took his things, and I packed it all up and threw it out my house.
Threw it out of your house, meaning where did you throw it?
I was just throwing it out the door, and wherever it landed, and I just wanted him out.
Coming up.
He went out of his way to go into the bathroom and take my beauty and skincare products, which were very expensive. He took them all and threw them in our apartment dumpster.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Veronica Sulks, who is suing Marcus Klein for property loss.
I wanted him out now and right away.
What if you would have hit somebody with that stuff? Then we'd be in criminal court.
My concern in that moment was I need him out. I need his things out. And so
why are you suing him for almost $1,200?
So once he saw me throwing his things out, he went out of his way to go into the bathroom and take my beauty and skincare products, which were very expensive. He took them all and threw them in our apartment dumpster. And after that, he took some of his things and just drove off all kinds of crazy. And I tried calling him the couple days after. He was not picking me up. And he was gone.
And your counterclaim is based on what? Her throwing everything out the door?
No, it is not, Your Honor. My counterclaim is that I bought a pair of shoes. They were my workout shoes. They were brand new. And when she was tossing stuff out the door. Let me talk, please.
Yeah, it's his turn. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. So she threw them. They landed in the dumpster and got completely ruined, the shoes. And they cost me $305. I do have a receipt. And the counterclaim is that for her cosmetic products, that she's claiming that whatever. But I just want to be reimbursed the $305 for those shoes that she ruined.
What happened to the cosmetics that you threw out?
So I just grabbed them. I was like really heated because of the situation.
Coming up.
It's like kids. You know, like I'm refereeing kids. You started it, and then you did something, and then you did something. I mean, you all are grown.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Veronica Sulks, who is suing Marcus Klein for property loss.
And because she had thrown all your stuff out the door, yeah.
Yeah, I was really heated. And I felt like she cared about her skin products more than she cared about me.
That's not true.
It doesn't matter if it's not true. That's how I felt. I took everything, I put it in a trash bag, and I put it in the dumpster. That's it. I gathered my belongings that she threw outside, and I went into the dumpster, took my shoes out, and I left. I drove, I slept in my car that night, and I went to work the next day at my warehouse job.
Your Honor, these were not just any old, like, regular dermatology products that I can just go and replace. I had to seek out an appointment with my dermatologist.
You have medical bills?
Yeah, yes, I do have a medical bill here. I have a receipt for that.
And let me see your receipts.
Yes, Your Honor.
I had to go to a dermatologist. I do suffer with rosacea, and it is something that I'm really insecure about. It took me months to get this appointment with the dermatologist. My insurance doesn't even cover half of the visit. And so
what about the prescriptions, though?
Yeah,
you're telling me that these are all prescribed medication.
Yes, and I had to pay out of pocket for them.
Prescribed.
Why? Why did you have to pay out of pocket if you had insurance?
My insurance doesn't cover all of that. Since dermatology isn't all the way covered in my insurance policy.
Was it covered at all?
There was probably only like a quarter of it covered.
It's like kids. You know, like I'm refereeing kids. You started it, and then you did something, and then you did something. I mean, you all are grown.
Judge Hatchett's verdict when we return. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
He takes your dermatology medication and puts it in a bag and throws it out. He didn't throw it all out individually, right? He put it in a bag. You could have gone and gotten it. This is just childish. You go and you get mad, and you just start throwing all your stuff out.
The majority of which I paid for.
I'm talking. And then he throws your stuff out, and it's a tit for tat, tit for tat, tit for tat. She's claiming almost $1,200. You're claiming $300 and some change. I'm not going to give either of you a dime. I think you all need to go your separate ways. Actually, I'm going to give you the $305 because she started this. She started this by throwing all your stuff out, and so you're going to get the $305. But this is just petty stuff. Petty stuff. And you just became crazy and started throwing stuff out. You shouldn't have thrown her stuff out. You shouldn't have thrown her stuff out. But she started this, and so she's going to have to deal with the consequences. Judgment for the defendant on his counterclaim in the amount of $305, and your primary claim is dismissed. We'll stand adjourned.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff has been ordered to pay $305.
This is not fair. You did not even pay for any of the stuff that I threw out, except for those shoes.
I didn't.
And I should have been compensated for
like
this
the
stuff.
judge said,
This was medical things that you messed with.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.